Over the past few weeks, you've probably noticed a surge in headlines talking about President Trump, rising tensions with Iran, and instability in the Middle East. These stories are everywhere, on the news, across social media, and in everyday conversations. But while most people are focused on the geopolitical drama, there's something happening quietly in the background that many are completely missing. Inflation here at home in the United States has started to rise again, and what's happening thousands of miles away in the Middle East is playing a major role in that shift. Let's break this down in a simple way so you can clearly understand what's really going on, and more importantly, how it's affecting your everyday life. Just a few days ago, the latest inflation data for March was released. According to the report, inflation has now climbed to a 3.3% annual rate year over year. That might not sound like a huge number at first, but it's actually the highest level we've seen in nearly 2 years. Even more concerning is what happened in just 1 month. Prices jumped by 0.9%. That's a significant move. To put this into perspective, inflation in February was sitting around 2.4%. Now, in March, it has jumped to 3.3%. That's nearly a full percentage point increase in just 30 days. Movements like that don't happen quietly. They signal something bigger underneath the surface. So what's driving this sudden rise? The answer comes down to one major factor: energy. Energy prices have increased by roughly 12 to 15% over the past year. Gasoline alone has surged nearly 20% compared to last year. And if you've been to the gas station recently, you've probably already felt this firsthand. But here's where it gets even more important. At the same time that prices are rising, real wages have actually declined by about 6% last month. That means while everything is getting more expensive, the actual value of your income is shrinking. Think about that for a second. Prices are going up, but your purchasing power is going down. That's why it feels like your money isn't stretching as far as it used to. You go to the grocery store, and what used to cost $100 now costs $250 or even $300. Rent continues to rise. Transportation costs are higher, and everyday essentials are becoming harder to afford. Now, here's something most people don't fully understand when they hear about inflation numbers. When you hear that inflation is at 3.3%, that's what's called headline CPI. This number includes everything: food, energy, housing, transportation, all of it. But there's another number called core CPI, which removes food and energy from the calculation. Right now, core CPI is sitting closer to 2.6%. So what does that mean? It means inflation appears lower when you remove the two categories that are actually hitting your wallet the hardest: food and energy. In other words, the things you need the most are the things getting more expensive the fastest. Now let's connect this back to what's happening globally. The key driver behind rising energy prices is oil, and oil is being directly impacted by tensions in the Middle East, particularly involving Iran. There's a critical location called the Strait of Hormuz. This is one of the most important oil routes in the world. Roughly 20% of the global oil supply passes through this narrow passage. So when there's conflict or disruption in that region, even temporarily, it creates immediate uncertainty in the oil market. And when supply is threatened, prices go up. That increase in oil prices doesn't just affect one country. It impacts the entire world. And here's the part that many people overlook. Oil isn't just something you pay for at the gas pump. Oil is everywhere. It's involved in transporting food to grocery stores. It's used in shipping products across the country. It affects airline ticket prices. It impacts manufacturing, delivery, logistics, everything. So when oil prices rise, it creates a ripple effect throughout the entire economy. Businesses face higher costs to operate, and in order to maintain profits, they pass those costs on to consumers. That means you pay more. You pay more for groceries, more for travel, more for goods, and more for services. That's how inflation spreads, quietly but powerfully. Now let's talk about what happens next. Even if tensions in the Middle East begin to calm down, Oil prices are still elevated compared to normal levels. Supply chains are already adjusting to higher costs. And historically, once prices go up, they don't come back down quickly. They tend to stick. This means what we're experiencing right now may not just be a temporary spike. It could be the beginning of another wave of inflation. And this is where preparation becomes critical. Because moments like this don't affect everyone equally. It's not about how much money you make. It's about how prepared you are. Someone earning $50,000 a year with a solid financial plan can be in a better position than someone making $300,000 without any structure. People without a plan are usually the first to feel the pressure. They experience tighter budgets, increased stress, and less flexibility in their daily lives. On the other hand, people with structure, with a plan, are able to adapt more effectively. They adjust spending. They prepare for rising costs. They make smarter financial decisions. So understand this clearly. This is not about panic. This is about awareness. When you understand what's driving inflation, when you understand how global events impact your personal finances, you gain clarity. And with clarity comes better decision-making. The goal here is simple: to give you information in plain, straightforward language. Not hype, not fear, just facts you can use. Because when you start to see the bigger picture, you can begin preparing your own household finances accordingly. You can adjust your budget. You can plan ahead. And you can position yourself to handle whatever comes next. That's how you stay ahead. If you found value in this, take a moment to reflect on how these changes are already impacting your life. And more importantly, think about what steps you can take moving forward. Because the more aware you are today, the better prepared you'll be tomorrow.